In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you the story of how I, one of the laziest and most chronic procrastinators that walks the face of this planet, figured out how to actually win the battle against my laziness and procrastination so that I could motivate myself to actually do the things that I know that I need to do to get myself ahead in my relationships, my social skills, my business, my health, my personal development and spiritual growth, my career and my skills, and just how to get myself ahead in life and how to actually motivate myself to take the actions instead of just knowing what I need to do but not being able to actually get off my ass and do it. This was a problem that I really struggled with a lot. This was like the story of my entire life. When I was in school, I thought that there was actually something wrong with me. When the teacher would ask us to hand in our assignments, I saw all the kids had many of the kids had their assignments done, and I was like under the tables trying to write and finish it at the last minute. I would always put everything off to the very last possible minute. I found it impossible to motivate myself unless there was extremely high amounts of pressure and suffering that was actually pushing me to get stuff done. And what ended up happening actually was my pressure tolerance actually got so high where when I was in grade 9 and I had an assignment due on Monday, I would almost always get it done at Sunday night at like 1 a.m. That's when I would start. And I'd pull an all-nighter, I'd deprive myself of sleep, I'd be anxious and stressed out the whole time, and eventually I'd hand in an assignment that would get me average marks. But by the time I got to grade 12, I wouldn't even do it on Sunday night. Monday morning would come and the assignment's due, and I didn't even start yet. And I would just start the next day. I'd start on Tuesday and just hand it in late on Wednesday. So it got so bad actually where I at one point just stopped doing my assignments and my marks got really bad. I was like, screw this whole high school thing. I'm just not doing any of this crap. So this caused me a lot of suffering, was a big problem for me until something permanently shifted for me. When I was 16 years old, I discovered a perspective that would totally changed the way that I viewed my life. So when I was 16 years old, I was doing what most teenage boys were doing, just playing video games all day, watching porn. I was smoking weed with my friends and eating junk food. And this combination of these four things was so pleasurable that I could do it for weeks on end without getting sick of it. But the problem is if you just chase pleasure all day, every single day for weeks on end, it actually starts to desensitize your brain to dopamine, where now you just feel depressed all the time. If you just spend all day in a state of hyper-stimulation with League of Legends, that's what I would play, or watching porn or smoking weed, your mind's just hyper-stimulated all the time, it would cause me depression. And I had very low self-esteem, low confidence. I wasn't able to talk to girls. I always felt all like needy and weird whenever I would try to flirt with girls at my high school. And this was a big problem for me. So I did some Googling. I was looking for some dating advice online, and I discovered a video that was just giving me some basic dating advice. And at the end of the video, the person said that his channel was all about this idea of self-actualization, which is a very inspiring idea that the human being has an infinite potential for growth. And I discovered for the first time in my entire life that if I invest in my own personal growth proactively, without being forced to do stuff by my parents or by my teachers or by my coaches, in my soccer or whatever, if I actually invested in myself on purpose, then my growth would look like this. It would be an exponential growth curve. So the growth over time would increase exponentially. So if this is like 5 years, right? And I just started today when I was 16 years old. This is Adam 16 years old, and now it's like 6 years later. So this is where I am. I never realized that I could just systematically every single day meditate for 20 minutes. And then 5 years from now, I'll have an amazing ability to control my thoughts. I can let go of heavy emotions like anxiety, anger, fear. I can just be at peace without having to always chase stimulation and pleasure. I can just sit and relax. My daily meditation is like one of the most amazing things that I've built for myself, where every day I just sit down and just bliss out to nothing. And it makes me feel really, really good and really grounded and happy. And this is just me tasting the results from the growth that I was gradually putting in over time. So this was the idea that I discovered when I was 16. My teacher was like, yeah, if you just invest in yourself, you read books, change your diet, exercise, meditate, do journaling and self-reflection and learning and shadow work and all this stuff, this personal development stuff, if you actually do it, not just think about doing it, but you actually do it, then your growth will be exponential. And it'll just keep getting better and better and better and better and better. And your life can get so good that you can actually achieve superhuman states of consciousness where your everyday life, just your average day, is bliss. Like you are literally God living in heaven. And your interactions with other people are very compassionate, very smooth, deeply fulfilling. Simple things like going for a walk outside and looking at the clouds can give you more bliss and more satisfaction than most people get in their entire lifetime of watching Netflix and eating KFC. So your spiritual growth, your growth in every single area of your life, your creativity, your impact on the world, your levels of fulfillment can reach an insanely high potential, so high that you don't even know that that was possible. And for me, when I was 16, I was like, holy shit, why didn't anyone tell me about this? So this one teacher, Leo Gura on actualize.org, his whole channel was showing you tips, techniques, and ideas and models for how do you self-actualize? How do you actually do it? And this was the coolest thing ever. So when I discovered this, I was like, okay, I'm 100% in on this idea. This is the coolest, most motivating thing I've ever found, until I hit up against the first obstacle where I realized that it's one thing to learn about self-actualization and personal development, and it's another thing to actually stay consistent with the habits and the actions that you know that you need to do. So this is when I was battling up against my laziness and my procrastination. So immediately, one of the first things I noticed was that my life kind of looks like this. It's like a wave. So I'd have high moments where on my highs, these waves would usually last about a week. The highs would usually last maybe a week, and then the lows would usually last like 3 or 4 days, sometimes a week. So some weeks I would feel high. I'd feel like I'm on my purpose. I'm pushing myself out of my comfort zone. I'm reading difficult books. I'm expanding my awareness. I'm practicing long meditations. I'm learning, I'm discovering my life purpose. I'm doing the things that I actually need to do and I feel good about myself. I'm lifting heavy weights at the gym. I'm holding my semen and then I'm using that in some kind of positive way. So this was the high point in my life, and that felt really good. I felt like I was in integrity with myself, like I was actually going somewhere, I was achieving something positive. But then something would happen where I would feel high, but then I would experience fear or some kind of self-sabotaging emotion would slowly bring me down. Maybe I would eat an unhealthy meal and that would give me some brain fog, or maybe I would lose sleep. One night I wouldn't get to bed on time, and then the next day my decision making is impaired because I'm low on sleep, and then I would have a low. And the low for me would look like me literally just like playing video games all day, watching porn like 10 times a day to the point where I would feel like totally empty and have no energy at all, no motivation. I would kind of numb that by just smoking a bunch of weed. I would just eat whatever food I could find that tastes good. And this low was very painful. And when I was at my low, I would feel like I'm wasting my life. I'm falling back into my old patterns. I'm not living up to this ideal of self-actualization. There's something wrong with me. Why can't I just stay consistent with my habits? Why is it so hard? And this pattern actually lasted for years and years and years, and actually this wave never really goes away. I've not really been able to see the ideal would people would say, Adam, teach me how to just make it a straight line where I'm just high the whole time. Isn't that what we want? But I don't think that's even possible. This isn't real, and I'll explain to you why. In life, it's important for us to experience lows so that we can appreciate the highs. So in the beginning, I had these highs followed by these lows, and whenever I would get low, I would guilt myself, I'd get angry at myself, I would force myself to do things that I didn't want to do. I just felt shit when I was at my lows, and I'd guilt myself. And then when I was at my highs, I felt like I was like the king of the world. So basically, I was very attached to being at my high point, being on purpose. And whenever I wasn't, it was like twice as bad as it normally would have been. Over time, what I found, especially with meditation, I kind of, instead of trying to fight against the lows and cling to the highs, instead, I would learn how to stay neutral. So if I'm at a high point in my life and I feel very on purpose, very awake and clear, and like I'm doing the stuff I know I need to do, slowly I learned over time how to not be so obsessed with that and just kind of make it natural. It's not a big deal. Yeah, I'm working hard, I'm doing my stuff, but it's not really a huge deal. I don't have to be attached to it. Because whenever you're attached to an outcome in your life, that causes you to self-sabotage, causes you to fuck up in some way because you're too attached. But then when I was at my low, I learned how to be loving with myself. I would use this as an opportunity to practice self-acceptance, not guilting myself, not judging myself, just kind of letting myself kind of do the old patterns, but be aware of it. This old pattern, let me actually use this low as a learning experience and as a growth experience. So that was the big shift for me. The massive shift was that there is no such thing as failure in your life. You can't fail. The only way you fail is if you quit. If you give up and you throw your hands in the air and you say, oh, to hell with this whole self-actualization thing. It's probably just a scam anyways. Maybe self-actualization works for some people, but for me, I'm just too lazy. I have ADHD, or I have this problem or that problem. It's not going to work for me. So eventually over time, by staying consistent, not quitting, that's the real key for me that really kept me on track, was just knowing that self-actualization is my vision. That's the most motivating thing. Nothing else is going to satisfy me. I'm going to self-actualize my potential in my life. It's not a question of like, should I self-actualize or should I not? Like, there's no debate here. It's not like you have no choice but to self-actualize. That's the only way you're going to feel fulfilled and happy. Otherwise, you're just going to live a life of suffering and mediocrity. And you're going to be reactive and weak, basically. Self-actualization is about building resilience and strength and power in your life. That's what you want. That's what's going to make you feel good. So over time, staying committed, not quitting. If this is my average, right? When I was 16 years old, if this was my average, over time, this wave pattern didn't go away, but the average would raise up. So I found that over time, let's use this board, this wave would kind of rise up. And if my old center was over here, over maybe a year of daily meditation, it would move up over here. So my set point would raise, but the wave pattern never went away, to be honest. Most of the time in my life, there's weeks where I feel like on my shit, clear, awesome, everything's going. It's like pure like creative expression, meditating, everything's going awesome. And then another week, it's just like doubt, fear, laziness, procrastination, giving into distractions, just not feeling like my best self. And what I found that helps me big time here is not to judge myself, but to actually use the lows to help me appreciate and accentuate the highs. So in life, this is the duality of life. If you've noticed, this wave here looks like a vibration. And all of life is a vibration. It's energy. It's like an actual wave. Think about it. If you look around your room, what are you looking at? You're just looking at the light that's being reflected off of objects. And the light literally is a vibration wave. And so are the sounds that are coming from your speaker as well. It's just everything's made of vibration. So what is a vibration? We're going to get very metaphysical for a brief second, but it's relevant. A vibration is a duality. There's a high and a low. And the thing with life is that you need to know and experience the lows so that you can appreciate the highs. Because guys, imagine if you were on your shit all day, every single day for your entire life. Imagine if you came out of the womb and you were already productive and you were investing in Bitcoin and, making content on social media right out of the womb, and you have your life purpose, you're meditating every day, you're eating healthy all the time for your entire life, beginning to end. That would be kind of like being a fish in water. If you're a fish that lives in water, you don't even know that water exists because it's just always present. So if productivity and effectiveness is always present in your life, then that's the same as it not existing at all. In the same way, if you're always happy, then you're never happy because you don't know what the opposite of happiness is. So this life experience that we've incarnated to, there's a big duality here. There's very positive emotions that we can experience, and then there's also very terrible, negative, painful emotions that we can experience. And this duality, from the ego's perspective, is a bad thing. The ego wants to maximize good and eliminate bad. But from a non-biased, non-selfish perspective, or God's perspective, the highs and the lows are actually both part of the beauty of creation, and they create each other. Like Lao Tzu said, long creates short, high creates low, good creates evil. These things literally create each other. So the point I'm trying to make is that in your life, you can actually use this wave to further deepen your love and appreciation for life. You don't need to fight against this high-low pattern. You can kind of let it run its course. And as you let it run its course, you can learn from it and directly experience lessons that help build you up, strengthen you as a person, that help you learn compassion for other people who are going through the same thing as you. So as a practical example, let's say when I was 17 years old, sometimes I would meditate all day and read books and journal and just feel like the king of the world. But then other times I would fall back into my old patterns, which was my biggest fear. And I would be masturbating and playing League of Legends and eating junk food and smoking weed all day. And I would feel anxious and depressed, just like I did when I started my journey. And I hated this. It wasn't until I eventually learned over years of this pattern playing itself out over and over and over and over and over again, eventually I learned that the lows are just as valuable as the highs. And just because I'm in a low, that doesn't mean I'm not growing. It sounds weird. Say, Adam, how are you growing if you're just playing League of Legends and masturbating all day? Well, on the surface, it seems like you're just kind of staying in your comfort zone and falling into your old patterns. And that's true. That is what you're doing. You're just staying in your comfort zone. You're not pushing yourself. But after you spend 4 or 5 days just completely immersed in your comfort zone, not even sticking a toe outside of your comfort zone, after you do that for 4 or 5 days, you actually start to appreciate the value of leaning outside of your comfort zone and pushing yourself. Have you ever suffered so much in your life by just being lazy and procrastinating that actually pushes you to be more productive and to actually push yourself to your edge and grow yourself? So the lows can act as a slingshot that help you slingshot into your next high. And the highs, you can just appreciate and enjoy how awesome it feels to be on your shit. And then sometimes you forget the lessons that you learned, so you need to kind of go back into the old ways and remember, like, oh shit, this is what I used to do before I started self-actualization, just all of this dopamine chasing, and this doesn't work. And every few weeks or so, I find that I had to actually remind myself that it doesn't work. So the process of growth in life, you'll find, is actually, it's a spiral. This is how the evolution of life looks. It's a spiral because you're always circling back on the old lessons, but from a higher perspective every single time. And that's exactly what I found in my life. You're always circling back to the old lessons, but every single time there's a higher perspective, a new meaning that you learn and you take away from it. So normally we think in such dualistic terms where we think, oh, there's either I'm going to succeed at my goals or I'm going to fail. And it's black and white. There's failure on this side and then there's success on this side. Success is good, failure's bad. But when you have a vision for your life that is the vision of the evolution of your soul to the highest possible levels of consciousness, understanding, and love, and enjoyment, if that's your vision, there's no other option. You can't not strive to be the best self, because if you don't strive to be your best self, you're going to suffer so much that you're going to eventually be forced onto the path of growth. When you're growing, you're actually aligning yourself with nature. If you notice, nature has a tendency to grow and evolve, just like how the entire universe has a tendency to grow and evolve. So when you kind of stay in your comfort zone and you stay stuck and stagnant in your life, the reason why you don't feel good, the reason why that makes you feel depressed, is because you're not actually in harmony with the flow of life. If you kind of let go of attachment to cravings, mainly by practicing meditation, we let go of fear and attachment and we just kind of bliss out in being and we just sit and be calm and centered without needing to chase after stimulation, but just staying present, then you'll find you align yourself with the flow of life, which is actually going to move in the direction of growing you. So here are the 4 steps that I used to beat my laziness and procrastination forever. These 4 ingredients, if you kind of mix these ingredients into the recipe of your life, you will have an awesome meal by the end of it. That's the best I could do with that analogy. So step 1, the first ingredient you need is vision. And this is what I try to help you to do on this channel. My purpose here is to help you to provide a very positive and inspiring vision for what is possible in your life. Your vision is your why. Why am I going to grow myself? Why am I going to meditate every single day for 20 minutes? Why am I going to systematically clean up my diet and stop eating foods that make me feel heavy and lethargic, or instead eat foods that make me feel light and energetic? Why am I going to invest in learning and discovering my strengths and my passions, creating a strategy and a plan for myself, and investing in my skills over a long period of time, over years, with the mastery process, so that I can become a master of creativity, so that I can become a master of meditation and of understanding? Why am I going to do this? This is your why. So the vision is what I've been talking about in this whole video. I'm explaining, if you don't strive to your highest potential as a human, your life of mediocrity is going to cause you massive suffering, and it's not going to work for you, and eventually you're going to have to stumble on the path of growth. You kind of have no choice. So this is really what vision is about. Having vision, what I like to do to build my vision for myself and for you guys, is to do journaling. Journaling is key. You can just, if you've never done this before, this is a very important exercise. Sit down with a journal at the park where there's no distractions. Sit down and just write about, what do I want to create in my life? That's a great question. You can write that right at the top and then just write about that for 30 minutes or for an hour. What do I want to create in my life specifically? Where do I want to live? Who do I want to date? What do I want to do every day? How do I want to feel? How do I want my body to look? What subjects do I want to be involved in? What kind of art do I want to create? How do I want to impact the world? What kind of projects do I want to work on? Where do I want to live? So these questions, I give you a lot of awesome journaling questions in my video, how to get crystal clear about what you want in your life. Check that video out. It's awesome. So that will help you with your vision. I also have a mini course that shows you how to get crystal clear about your life purpose as well, where we go into a lot of the stuff that I'm talking about here on this video. But so step one is vision. That motivates you. Next is you want to create a plan. So now that I have a vision, I know specifically what I want in my life, and it doesn't need to be overly specific. You don't need to know the exact details, but you just want to give yourself permission to dream. So when you're writing your vision, it's important that you don't limit yourself with how-to concerns. So if your vision is, I want to live in Fiji, but your concern is, I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to make money in order to do that. When you're making the vision, don't concern yourself with how, concern yourself with what. What do I want to create? What vision is noble and inspiring and emotionally charged enough so that I actually want to do it? See, when I was in high school and teachers were giving me assignments, the reason why I would procrastinate doing it to the very last minute was because for me specifically, I don't do things because other people tell me I should do things. I do things because I'm naturally interested in it and I care about it. It's beautiful to me. I actually want to be involved in it. That's why that's how I motivate myself to get stuff done and to get off my ass. Because it's something that's coming from my heart. It's my soul's mission. This is my calling. It's important for me. It's like that feeling when you watch a movie that is so inspiring, it moves you to tears. By the time you're done that movie, you feel like you see life with new eyes and you want to take action. But then sometimes eventually that motivation wears off and you just end up back in your old patterns, which I'm going to tell you about how to break up your old patterns so that we can get ourselves out of this laziness procrastination cycle and on to actually getting our shit done. I'll give you some tips as the video goes on. So now that we have an inspiring vision of something that's actually connected to my heart, something that I care about, now we need to create a plan. So very basically, I go into a lot more detail in this in my little mini course, and also I coach people one-on-one for creating an actual practical plan for themselves that's custom tailored to them. So if you do want to talk to me one-on-one, there are a couple coaching spots that have just opened up recently. You can apply in the link below if you wanted to talk to me personally and create a personal plan for yourself. But in general, basically, once you have your clear vision, you want to reverse engineer action steps. So if I have a 10-year vision, then you want to ask yourself, okay, so 10 years from now, in your mind, put yourself into the ideal reality that you want. So maybe you want to live in Fiji and be a painter. You want to express yourself creatively through your painting or through your music. Let's say you're a musician and you're a painter, and you want to live in Fiji. You want to have your own business that involves selling your music and your painting, and you just want to live on the beach, meditate, read books, and just live your best life on the beach in 10 years. That's your vision. It's inspiring. That's going to make me feel good. I'm going to be in nature. I'm going to impact people. I'm going to be creative, and that's what my soul wants. Okay, awesome. We know what you want and why. Now, what's the plan? The plan's actually relatively easy. You want to ask yourself, so that version of me 10 years from now that has skills that I don't currently have, you want to get clear about where I'm at currently and where I want to be in the future, and notice that there's a gap there. And you want to ask yourself, what is that gap? What skills does the version of me in 10 years have that I currently don't have? So, for example, if I want to live in Fiji and be a painter musician, I don't have enough painting and music skills. I'm just not good enough to the point where people would actually want to buy it from me. Or I don't have good marketing skills. I don't know how to put myself out there on social media. I don't have good online business skills. I don't know how to monetize my creativity so that I can actually make money off of it and sustain myself. I don't have enough meditation skills so that I can just be calm and grounded and creatively inspired. I don't have all these practical skills. So for each skill you don't have, then you can come up with 3 action steps that help you to learn that skill. So, okay, I don't have enough painting and music skills. That's the gap. Okay, so how do I close that gap? Well, you use the mastery process and you come up with some action steps. So I could paint 1 painting per day, and I can actually put that in as a habit. If painting is your top priority and you actually want to be a world-class painter, you're going to need to paint every fucking day. Not once in a while, not, you guys who want to be musicians, right? Not that you make music once a week when you feel like it. No, you need to actually make music every single day. And that's your top priority. So make 1 song per day for 30 minutes, right? If you're a musician. If you want to be a painter, make 1 painting a day. And then the second action step, how do I improve my painting skills? Maybe I can go take a class. Okay, go take a class. Now the third action step, maybe I could watch YouTube tutorials that show me painting skills that I need to know. Okay, great. We got 3 action steps. 1 painting per day, go take a class, and watch YouTube videos for 1 hour per week. All right? So, okay, we have a plan now. Now you know what you need to do in order to achieve your vision. And now you might be wondering, well, Adam, isn't the whole point of this video is that I know what to do, but I can't get myself to do it? Well, that's where we move into step 3, which is execution. Step 3, execution. So how do I actually get myself to do what I know I need to do? So I created a vision. I saw into the future. What skills does the future version of me have that I currently don't have? I made a plan with tangible action steps that help me build those skills. Like if I don't have marketing skills, I could buy 1 book about marketing. I can hire a marketing coach, and I could practice email marketing for 30 minutes every day. Okay, great. Those are my action steps. But how do I execute on that? How do I actually do the thing? Now, in a weird way, I found the execution actually isn't a massive issue if you're clear enough about your what and your why and your how. So I got the what, the why, and the how, and just start taking the actions, right? So if you say, okay, I'm gonna make 1 painting a day, make 1 painting a day. Start with day 1, 1 painting, make it. and post it. And then the problem that many people have is that they can do this for a few days, but they can't do this consistently over a year, let alone 5 or 10 years. So there's this wave, right? We're going back to the wave. So on your high, when you're all motivated and you're excited, you're like, okay, Adam, I'm going to make one painting per day, or I'm going to make one YouTube video per day, or one music or whatever I want to get to the next level in my life. It could even be with relationships as well. I'm going to go out and I'm going to talk to 10 girls per night at the club so I can improve my dating skills. Same with going to the gym. This works for all success in your life. You have the vision, you have the plan, and how do we execute? Well, you just start doing the thing consistently, and then you might find at some point, try your best not to fall off. See how long you can stay consistent. Like a challenge. How long can I make daily paintings for? Right? And then very quickly, you might notice that you fall off track and now you're back down in the dumps. You're in another low. Maybe you're back in your old patterns like me, where I should be making videos, but instead I'm playing League of Legends and masturbating. So when I'm in my low, I actually use that as a learning experience to kind of directly feel what doesn't work. So like Thomas Edison, for example, when he was making the light bulb, he had to test out over 800 filaments to see which one conducted the electricity without melting or overheating. After 800 tries, he eventually found the right filament. And an interviewer asked him, he said, Thomas, how did you stay consistent after failing 800 times? And he said, I didn't fail 800 times. I just actually succeeded in finding 800 ways that didn't work. So when you're down in the dumps, use this as an opportunity to observe what isn't working in your life. So for me, what I learned a lot by just endlessly chasing pleasure like a monkey, like an animal just chasing after the next hit of stimulation when I'm playing video games all day, that's actually a good opportunity for me to observe the contrast. So after a week of making paintings, I'm like, yeah, awesome, I'm feeling really good. Eventually you'll slip a little bit back because of homeostasis. You're kind of fighting against your old patterns, but eventually you might get kind of dragged back down into your old patterns. Eventually you'll figure out, this doesn't feel good. If I'm playing video games all day, this doesn't satisfy me. This doesn't make me happy. Sure, it gives me pleasure, but why am I still doing this if it makes me depressed? What's causing me to fall back into my old patterns? What's my trigger? How does it feel to be unconscious? That's an interesting question. Use this as an opportunity to actually observe yourself being unconscious. How does your body feel? Probably feels tense. How is your mind? For me, I feel like when I'm in an unconscious state, I feel like my mind's like anxious and always chasing after the next thing. I can't be still and present in the moment. I'm always in motion, always like chasing constantly. This actually helps me learn about the contrast of life. What works and what doesn't work. So when I figure out directly what doesn't work, I can see what works with even more clarity. This is like the scientific method, guys. When a scientist is doing his experiments, the scientist is actually excited to just try stuff out and see what happens. If the scientist does an experiment and the experiment doesn't work, or the experiment fails, the scientist doesn't see it as a failure. He sees it as a learning opportunity. He gets excited to do an experiment. He gets excited to fail. So when you're at your low, when your life is failing, realize it's actually not failing, it's actually contributing to your overall success. This is a key reframe. Every single thing that happens in your life, whether it seems positive or negative on the surface, try reframing it to, how is this experience adding to my vision and to my overall success? So even if I'm down in the dumps and I'm smoking cigarettes all day and just, eating pizza and doing nothing, how is this contributing to my vision and my success? I'm going to use this opportunity to practice self-acceptance. I'm going to use this opportunity to witness my own unconsciousness and to even practice meditation as I'm being unconscious. So when I talk about quitting addictions, right, which is another big thing for me, my video, How to Quit Addictions by Loving Them to Death, that's like the secret key. Because when you're in a very addicted state, when you're just constantly chasing after pleasure, you can still do self-inquiry. You can still do meditation, and you can realize, okay, sure, I'm chasing after this pleasure, but still my life, this isn't me. My experience of life isn't me. See, normally we identify with our experience. When we're addicted to something, we want to stop, and we get mad at ourselves and we guilt ourselves because we're attached to life. We think we are the addiction, or we think we are the person who is addicted. But as we keep growing spiritually, self-actualizing, meditating, eventually you'll get to a point where even if you're in an addictive cycle, you can still meditate and say, this isn't me. This is not who I am. And after your addiction starts causing you suffering, where you feel tense, you feel anxious because you're just chasing pleasure all day, you don't feel good about yourself, eventually you'll just stop. You'll just get sick of it. You say, you know what? I'm to hell with smoking weed. I'm fucking done. I don't want to do it for the next few weeks. And for a few weeks you don't do it, and then you get back to your high place where you feel good and you're sober and you have a routine and you're getting stuff done. You feel good about yourself, but then you might fall back down again. And again, another learning opportunity. Awesome. Right? So the attitude here is all ups and downs still lead you to your goal. So if this is your goal here on the right, you're going to get there. And it's not going to be sunshine and rainbows the whole time. It's going to be ups and downs. This is the duality of life. This is what helps you learn and just appreciate life. So like, for example, when you watch a movie at the movie theater, there is no movie that you can go watch that is just sunshine and rainbows the whole time. Imagine you went to the movie theater and the plot, there was no problem in the plot. The characters were just having a good time all day. Imagine Frodo and Sam, when they were in the Lord of the Rings, they were chilling in the Shire. Imagine there was no ring, there was no Mordor, there's no orcs, there's no evil Dark Lord. Frodo and Sam are just smoking weed and eating food and dancing all day in the Shire. And that's the Lord of the Rings, 12 hours of just Frodo and Sam and Merry and Pippin dancing and having sex and doing whatever the fuck they want. That movie probably would not be an Oscar-winning movie. I don't think anyone would watch it, honestly. Because the truth is, life isn't interesting, and you can't even really learn about yourself and about existence unless there's problems and challenges. The fact that you are suffering in your life and you have these low points, that's a good thing. That helps you build strength. That helps you build resilience. That helps you build compassion for other humans who are going through what you're going through. When you have a very low point, you can fully appreciate the high points. Because if it was just a high point the whole time, you would just walk out of the theater. It'd be boring. This is actually a very high perspective. I'm talking from a very high level perspective. This is very important to understand. When I learned this, it helped me take my life less seriously, helped me be more attached. And speaking about execution, my main tip for executing is just do it. Just, you say you're gonna make something awesome or you're gonna meditate, just fucking do it. Just do the thing. So the question is, Adam, I'm lazy, how do I get off my ass to do the thing? Sometimes you gotta put your feet on the floor, you gotta lift your ass off of the couch, you gotta walk to the meditation cushion, you gotta sit down, and you gotta start counting your breath, or whatever you do to meditate. There's no secret hack for doing the thing. What I like to do, honestly, is using the 2-minute rule, and I talk about that a lot more in my video, how to stay consistent with your habits. Talk about the 2-minute rule, just show up, right? So don't tell yourself, oh, I have to meditate for an hour. Instead, just tell yourself, I'm just gonna meditate for 1 minute. Just get off your ass, sit down, just meditate for 1 minute. And we'll actually get into some tips for what to do when you're in that lazy, low consciousness, kind of depressive procrastination state, how to break yourself out of that. Okay, so my first tip for that, let's erase this here. My first tip, how to break yourself out of a low consciousness procrastination state. Number 1, you want to use what I call a pattern interrupt. So let's say you're watching Netflix, you're all lazy, you've been watching Netflix all day, your stomach's full of pizza, you're not feeling good, you know you have work that you need to do, you know you have self-actualization that you need to do, but you're not doing any of it. You're just lazy and you're doing nothing. If you want to break out of this pattern, what I find works for me big time is doing a pattern interrupt, which is something that pushes me out of my comfort zone where I'm kind of forced to like snap out of it. So for me, I love just taking freezing ice cold showers. Sometimes at a moment's notice, if I'm feeling really like kind of foggy and tired and lazy, I'll just say, fuck it, I'll just undress, turn the water ice cold, and just step in and not even think about it, and just go directly in to the cold water. And honestly, when I do that, that's like a cathartic experience. It's usually very positive. And honestly, when you're feeling very groggy and lethargic and tired and you take an ice cold shower, it actually feels awesome to like interrupt your pattern. You feel strong. You start to feel good about yourself. You feel capable. Because sometimes when we're in this low consciousness state where we're lazy and procrastinating, we don't feel capable. We feel like we're at the mercy of our emotions and our thoughts. We feel like lazy victims. So by doing something uncomfortable, you kind of build up your self-esteem a little bit. And for me, just stepping into an ice cold shower really does the trick for me. Another one is just fuck it, just do 100 push-ups. Just crank out tons of push-ups, or just go step outside and just sprint as fast as you can down the road. Right? So this is like a pattern interrupt. We're doing something completely different than what we would normally do. Another thing that helps me to kind of break out of this kind of old pattern, this kind of conditioned state of consciousness, is to change my environment. So sometimes it's healthy just to take a trip into the city, or to just take a trip to maybe go on a nature hike. Just get out of your house. Go somewhere. Just leave. You just have to leave the old environment sometimes. That helps you kind of break out of this, like, because sometimes, honestly, guys, like, I just feel so lazy and just stuck at home. I don't want to do anything. I just want to play video games and masturbate all day. And when I'm in that state, sometimes it helps just to leave my house, just get out, go for a walk, change my environment, and then when I come back, I'll have a clear head. And also cleaning and organizing your environment, moving the furniture, sweeping, doing dishes, all that stuff will help you a lot, because cleaning and reorganizing furniture helps to kind of freshen up the energy in the space. Because if you're living in the same space, all of your habit patterns are kind of baked into the structure of the way you have your room set up. Your furniture kind of creates these like habit patterns in your mind. So by kind of switching that up and changing it and cleaning it, that kind of helps you freshen everything up, and that's a nice pattern interrupt that you can use. Second awesome way to stay consistent with your positive actions and to win the battle against procrastination and laziness is to build a solid morning routine. And well, I'll just tell you what I do. This is what I highly recommend is first thing in the morning, the night before, I try not to eat food before bed. I like reading a book before I go to sleep. I'll write down what I want to do the next day. But maybe even if I didn't go to bed in an awesome state, maybe I stayed up late playing video games and I don't want to do that anymore. The next day I want it to be like a fresh start. What I'll do is my morning routine is first thing I do before I even got to get out of bed is the morning pages, right? Write 3 full pages of notes in a journal that's about this size. Stream of consciousness. I talk about that in another video. It's called Do This Every Morning or something like that. So do the morning pages, and then what I do is I just get right into an ice cold shower, right? First thing in the morning, I'm feeling groggy, tired. The water, ice cold, get in there, and the more you do it, the more consistency you'll be able to build when you're doing the ice cold shower. It's very helpful, honestly. I used to hate cold showers. Now that the more I do it, the easier it gets. So that's the thing with the morning routine. The more you do it, the easier it gets. So after the cold shower, I like to meditate for 30 minutes or longer, and then after I'll go work out at the gym. And after that, I'm in a perfect state to create a video, to write an email, to coach a client, just to do my work. And that's an awesome day for me. And that night, I eat some healthy food, unwind, and prepare for the next day. So morning routine, first thing in the morning, don't check your phone. Morning pages instead of checking your phone. Ice cold shower, and just after your shower, sit down and meditate for 20-30 minutes and then go to the gym. See, that just helps you immensely because that puts you in state. If you miss your morning routine and you don't do it, don't get mad at yourself. Don't guilt yourself. You can actually just use this as an opportunity to observe the duality of life. How do you feel when you don't do your morning routine versus how do you feel when you do your morning routine? And you can actually use the times where you don't do your morning routine as contrast, as an experiment to kind of learn what doesn't work so that you can double down on what does work. So the third way to break out of your old pattern and just to break out of laziness and procrastination is to just fucking do it. Just fucking do it. One thing that works for me is by eliminating distractions from my environment, uninstalling games off of my computer, uninstalling distracting apps off my phone. Sometimes just leaving my house, going to the library. If I need to do work, I'll go to the library or I'll go to Starbucks. Just leave distractions and just do the fucking thing. Sometimes just taking action will help you break out of your old patterns. But don't force yourself to like do it. Like, don't fight against yourself. If you really don't want to take any action at all, then I recommend the pattern interrupt first of all. And after you do the pattern interrupt, if you still don't want to take any action after going for a sprint or listening to some loud music or taking an ice cold shower, even meditating helps me a lot. If you still don't want to take any action, then just relax. Just meditate. Just go for a walk. Get yourself some clarity. And what I like to do, actually, if I don't want to take action, then what I'll do is I'll work on filling up my cup by listening to audiobooks, listening to lectures, and just filling my mind with positive, empowering material, personal development, and spirituality mainly. So when I do my pattern interrupt and I've spent a few days in a low state of depression or unconsciousness, addictions, and I want to break out of it, I'll do my pattern interrupt. The next morning, I'll do my morning routine. If I feel motivated to make something, I will, and I just make something anyways. It has nothing to do with my motivation. I just make stuff even if I feel like it or not. It's kind of the same with the cold shower. I just get in whether I feel like it or not. Or it's the same with the morning pages. I just do it whether I feel like it or not. Or it's the same with the meditation. That's why these habits are so good. You got to get into the habit of doing the healthy thing whether you feel like it or not. And those times when you don't feel like it, those are the times where it actually feels the best to do it sometimes. So yeah, and then fourth, the bonus one was just, if you don't want to take the action, at least listen to something positive. Listen to something positive that'll help you get in the proper state. I highly recommend checking out this video here where I explain to you how to get crystal clear about what you want in your life. And also, as I mentioned before, there's a couple spots that just opened up in my one-on-one coaching program. So if you wanted personal help with this stuff that we talked about here in this video, you just wanted to talk to me one-on-one, help you get clear about your vision in your life, and create a practical plan that'll actually help you get there, then you can apply below and talk to me one-on-one for free. We'll help you get some clarity about where you're at in your life, where you want to be. And if we want to work together longer term, if I feel like I can help you and that we feel like we're a good fit for each other, then I'll let you know how we can work together longer term. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. This was how to win the battle against laziness and procrastination. I hope this helped you. I hope there was some valuable insights. Check out this video here for how to get clear about what you want in your life and get started on building your vision. In this video, I'm going to be showing you a very powerful process that you can use to get crystal clear about exactly what it is you want